You know what happened in America yesterday? There was an attack in a subway in Brooklyn. At least 23 people were injured. We've been covering the story extensively from the ground. Now, the latest piece of information is that a suspect has been identified. We'll show you who this person is, the man on your screen. His name is Frank R. James, 62 years old. The police are calling him a person of interest. Now, given that this is an American story, expect some terms that seem to be misfits. For example, American authorities are calling this incident a case of shooting, not terrorism, shooting. Terrorism is probably what they would have called it had this man been an Arab or a Muslim. But Frank R. James is American. He has addresses in Wisconsin and Philadelphia. So this story is automatically played down. James becomes a person of interest, not a suspect, and his act of terror is called shooting, not terrorism. Hypocrisy is America's old problem. Denial is another. Now, what happened in Brooklyn could have been avoided had the terrorist/shooter not had access to firearms. Now, from the little that we know about James so far, it is clear that he's full of hate, full of anger. He admits this in one of the many videos that he's reportedly uploaded online. In one of them, he rants endlessly about race, about violence. He even issues threats to New York Mayor Eric Adams. He admits to attending psychiatric facilities, in other words, being mentally unwell. Now, this is what American apologists are playing up. They say this man was unwell, that he was mentally unfit. And that's why he set off smoke in a crowded subway and then opened fire. I'm afraid investigations do not work that way. Here's what you must begin by asking. What was a mentally unwell person doing with a firearm? Who gave him a gun? The American system did. It risked hundreds of lives by upholding the Second Amendment, which says, and I quote, "The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." It does not matter if the person is mentally stable or not. It does not matter if he's filled with hate. America arms this hate. Unless Washington admits this and addresses the root cause of such terrorism, incidents like Brooklyn will keep repeating. You see, there is no dearth of hate in the US. Something else happened in the country yesterday. 2 Sikh men were assaulted. They were beaten with a pole. Their turbans were removed. And this too happened in New York. A 3rd Sikh man was attacked in the same location around 10 days ago. Hate crimes against the Sikh community have gone up by 200% in recent years. And this is just one community we're talking about. There are many minority communities in America. There are many biases, many prejudices. There is anti-Semitism. In volatile societies like these, what you need are strong laws, laws that can protect people. But America has a law that enables violence. Anyone can walk up to a gun store and buy a gun. Apologists will say, but America has background checks. Sure, it does. It's a 10-minute online check, and the fact that mentally unstable people like Frank R. James can manage to get hold of a firearm speaks volumes about the effectiveness of these background checks. Today, there are some 327 million people in the US, but the country has 393 million firearms, more than their population. 4% of the world's population lives in the US, but 46% of the world's entire stock of privately owned arms is in America. 81.4 million adult Americans legally own an arm. 17 million others live in a home with a gun, meaning one argument, one bad day, one mental breakdown, and an American civilian has the trigger to pull at his or her disposal or go around shooting people like James did. In one of his videos, James blamed the system of New York for filling him with hate. And one fine day, he ensured that New Yorkers paid the price for this hate. How does that even work? Today, the US has the highest rate of deaths from gun violence among developed nations. There are more than 20,700 gun deaths. There were more than 20,700 deaths in 2021. Gun deaths. At least 22 people were killed in incidents of gun terror in school. What is the White House doing about it? Lecturing other countries on human rights. Yesterday it was India they lectured. Today it was Russia. Earlier today, US President Joe Biden accused Russia of genocide, a term used for deliberate killing of a group of people. People are also dying in America, by the way. There has been a rise in hate crimes. A 3-year-old was shot outside her daycare in Brooklyn in March. Another woman was shot in the face. In January, an 11-month-old girl was hit by a stray bullet. There are enough and more problems in the US, like there are in other countries. But clearly, they're not enough for the White House to look within. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.